Okay, hi guys. We are going to do a lap of Croft in the GTA 1750. This looks like such a simple layout, this circuit, and it's fairly flat. There's nothing too spectacular about it, but it's so tricky to put a full lap together. It's nice and neat. I'll do my best to talk you through it though. So as we approach turn one, you can see we've got these bollards on the left-hand side of the circuit. So if we scroll back a little bit, we're looking out for the bollards. We're going to be braking just before the bollards, and we're aiming for here. Just there's a tyre stack, and we're aiming for this curb here. We don't want to take too much curb because it will flip us up on two wheels, but we'd like to hit that curb. So as we scroll back, we're braking just before this first bollard, and then we're turning in not long after. So as before we reach the 2 bollard, we're already turning in. We're full on the brakes, but we left a little bit of throttle on. Again, aiming for this red and white curbing here. Not bad. The car's going to drift out. Now, as we drift out, we want to stay off this gravel. If you run onto it, don't bother. Don't worry about it. It'll slow you down. You'll get track limits, but just roll through it and come out into the next section of corners. You'll be fine. It's not going to do anything horrible. But now we're aiming to be just to the right of these 3 bollards. So as we scroll through, a little bit of a correction. You can see I'm kind of really pointing in the wrong direction, so I'm going to have to steer into there. The reason I'm steering into there is because our next complex is a long sweeping right-hander that's going to loop all the way back round on us. So I'm just about where I want to be. I'm all the way over. Look, I'm almost going to clip that bollard, and just before I reach the bollards, I'm on the brakes. I'm going to brake quite hard, but I'm going to leave a bit of throttle in, and then I'm turning straight away. I'm aiming for this curb. Again, I don't want to snatch too much curb. You can see I'm quite hard on the brakes. What I'm going to do is come off the brakes once I've passed this curb, and I'm just going to ease off the throttle and wait until I get to maybe this second or this first Parts World banner on the left, and then I'm going to just floor it. I'm going to keep my foot in all the way through the rest of Clervaux and through the chicane. So you can see I'm coming off the brakes, and I've got a little bit of throttle on. I'm just increasing the throttle a little bit, but I don't want to go too soon because the car's going to drift way out to the left. So I've got to be patient. See, I'm just coming up to the first Parts World zone, and now I'm pretty much getting there. I'm nearly on full throttle. I'm at the Parts World sign, and now I can just floor it all the way through. You can see the tarmac's darker where most of the cars usually run. Now, as I approach the chicane, I've got 2 tyre stacks. There's a tyre stack on the right, tyre stack on the left. We've got, I think we've got cones. Yeah, we've got a cone here and a cone here. Clip that cone with the right-hand side of your car, clip that cone with the left-hand side of your car. If you straddle these curbs, it's not ever so bouncy. If you hit the curbs with the wheels, you'll bounce a bit. If you straddle them, you just roll over. So I'm on this curve. I'm going to clip that cone, no problem. And now I'm already starting to think about turning left, in through the second part of the chicane. Again, I'm going to straddle that curb. Now, try not to run onto this piece of curbing on the outside. Reason is, if you hit that, you generally speaking, you've gone in too hot and you're going to run too wide. And if you go onto this curb, you will generally speaking end up drifting a little bit further to the grass. What you're aiming for is this darker patch of new tarmac here. There we go. So as we nip down the straight, it was a bit of a kink in it. As we get round this little bit of a kink, we want to be as far over to the left as we can get. This corner is absolutely horrible. It really is. I've tried it in 2nd and 3rd gear. I can only really get comfortable in 3rd gear, although it really does bog down and it feels awful. What we're going to do is we're going to brake literally at the start of this piece of tarmac here, this new piece of darker tarmac. It feels way too early. But what we're going to do is we're going to brake hard down to 3rd and then come off the brakes. And we're going to turn in way early. We're going to turn in before you can see the inside of the corner. If you can see the inside of the corner, you feel like you've got it nailed, you're too late. You want it to be turning in way before you can see it. So here we go, we're hard on the brakes. We're just going past the 50 board. There's the 50 board on my left, and I'm starting to turn in. And you can only just see the start of the corner. There's a darker piece of tarmac on the inside, which is what we're aiming for. We're getting more lock on now. Now the idea here is we're going to roll into the corner, but then we're going to power through it. If we don't power through it, we will not have enough speed on the straight following it. So you've got to be, as we say, I'm coming off the brakes. I always leave a little bit of throttling on this car. I've missed this apex by a mile, to be fair. This isn't tidy, but the apex is quite late. So now you can see I'm nearly at full throttle already, and I'm powering through. Let the car drift out. Now, here's a little thing. If you happen to run really wide and go off on the grass here, just go past all of these trees and rejoin the circuit later on. If you try and rejoin along this little straight, you can't. It's all barriered off. So just keep going along the grass on the left-hand side of the trees and just rejoin at the next part of the circuit. So yeah, we want to be powering all the way through this corner. We're going to let the car roll out to the left, no problem. Now we're going to position the car over to the right. We've got a really fast chicane coming up. There's a tyre stack here and a cone on the left. On a little bit further down the track, there's a tyre stack on the right hand side with a cone on the inside of that. So we're aiming for the cones basically. There's minimal input in the steering. If the more you steer, the more speed you scrub off. So try and keep the inputs down. Nicely on that curb. We're already straightening up and turning right for the next piece of the chicane. This is all flat out. Again, we're aiming for this cone. If you go off on that other corner I was telling you about, this is where you can rejoin on the grass here. Now, this piece of hard standing here is nicely tarmacked. You're not going to lose any speed if you run into it, but you will get track limits. We're going to roll out as close to that as we can get. Now we've got another right-hander, and we've got another tyre stack. They're all marked with tyre stacks here. And we've got a cone on the inside. We're aiming for the cone. So the reason we've come out as far left as we can get is because we want to minimize the steering input, but we still want to clip this cone. So we're turning in, we're over the curb, a little bit wide there, we're over the curb. Now we're aiming to be over here. There's a new piece of tarmac on the outside. As soon as we've got over that piece of tarmac, we're turning right. So we want to be as far left as we can get, and we're braking before the tarmac because we want to be turning in part way through the tarmac. This is our apex here. Now, as we come into Croft, don't take too much curb here. It's too steep. You'll be up on two wheels. But we're off the brakes now, and we're going to feather the throttle a little bit because we're going to get some wheel spin, but we're pretty much full throttle from here on in. As we come through Barcroft, you can see what we've got now is a little straight, and then we've got Sunny Out, which is the next right hand corner. We're not going to treat this as two corners. We're going to do it in one big long sweep. We're going to get as much of this red and white curbing as we can on the outside, and then we're going to cut straight back across for Sunny Out. So I'm in third, and it's really revving quite high, and it feels awful. The inside rear's spinning, but fourth gear just bogs down, and it's not. See, I think third gear's got to be the way to go. As with many of the other corners, we're now aiming for this cone and this inside. This curb's not too fierce actually, so you can actually hit some of that. And now you can hear the tyres squealing and the engine revving up. We're still on full throttle. We're still in third gear, and we're going to use all of this curb on the exit. Now we're heading over to the right hand side of the track because our next bend is a left-hander. You've got this new piece of tarmac that you're on. You want to be braking just as you get to the end of the new piece of tarmac, and then turning in quite early. There are so many ways to get around the complex, and I haven't quite found the quickest one yet, but you can see from where all of the marks are on the tarmac from what you would imagine to be other racers. They tend to be quite wide here. I found that slows me down, so I'm not using what the designers have put in as the ideal line. I'm kind of sticking a little bit to the left here and hugging the inside as much as I can, although I've drifted out to the middle here, because now I want to position the car over here on the left, ready for a really tight right-hander. So I've come across over to the left. Look, I'm off the throttle and I'm starting to brake. Now this is quite an early turn in. There's a curb here, a little bit fierce. I shouldn't bother with it too much. If you can just rub it, that's nice. But we're quite tight left, we're quite tight right here, and we're almost doubling back on ourselves. But we're not really going to be getting much speed coming out of it. So here we go. We turned in nice and early. You've got a second apex here, and now ahead of us we've got a hairpin. Leaving it in second gear, you're just going to rev out, so you snatch third really quickly and then straight back down to second. Now again, this is quite a tight hairpin, so leave some revs on. Don't let the car bog down, or else you'll struggle to get out of it. I've left it so that I generally have the apex right in the center of the corner, to be fair, and you can run out wide on the exit to help with the with oversteer, so that you can reduce the oversteer. But it's risky, because once you get on the curb on the exit, it sometimes drags you out onto the grass. So as you can see, I'm trying to get the inside curb quite late on as an apex. I've got a good half throttle on there. I'm having to do a little bit of correction because of oversteer, and I haven't let the car run out too wide. There is a little bit of hard stuff on the outside of here, so it's not terrible, but it's just, I don't know. There are quicker exits from this corner than I've got. And then you're all the way up the gears. You'll get to fourth, and now we're aiming for turn one again. So that was a 134.125, and again at turn one we're looking out for the bollards. 1 marker, 2 marker, 3 marker. And we're braking just before the 1, and we're turning in just after the 1. We're starting to turn in between the 1 and the 2. So I'll run that lap through at full speed so you can see what it looks like. You see how that bogs down coming out of the hairpin. So we're flat out all the way across the start finish line to the first corner, braking just before the bollard, turning in nicely, clip this curb, let the car drift out. You're aiming to the bollards, gently now floor it, get yourself over to the right, to the left, straddle those curves, let the car drift out to the new tarmac, not on curving. Start teasing your way over to the left hand side of the circuit. As soon as you see the dark piece of tarmac, brake, turn in, gentle, and then power. You can hear it bog down, it seems awful, but second gear is just too little. You're over to the right, we're going to aim for the cone. On the left, we're going to aim for the cone on the right. Don't let the car drift too far wide on the left here. Now we're aiming for the cone with as minimal input as possible. Brake, turn in. One flowing corner through this double apex. It feels awful in third, but fourth is no good, it bogs down. Take all of the curb on the exit, over to the right hand side of the circuit, braking for the left hander, just let it flow through, feathering the throttle. Now we're sharp on the brakes, turn in really early for this double apex, and then we're snatching third, back to second, roll it through the hairpin gently on the throttle so you don't spin, and then floor it back to the start finish line. I hope that's of some assistance to you. Now I know there's more time in this lap, significantly so, but I just haven't been able to put a perfect lap together. I seem to get different sectors right with each different lap. So yeah, good luck. I hope it's of some benefit to you.